Dramatic, so dramatic that intro
super.
is.
I
Hey
feel
boys,
special.
you guys
Hey,
got a
boss.
little. You guys got a little hamburger? I got a hamburger.
I don't have a little one.
I got a hamburger.
Big one.
I got a hamburger.
Oh yeah, little
Oh.
ketchup, mustard, pickles, just standard.
It's so good.
Mm.
So good.
What's the history of lips?
Mine
Welcome.
has eggs and hash browns and bacon on it. It's delightful.
Brandon
You
got
betcha,
his from
GG.
the.
Where did you go?
I
Holy
went to
cow.
Habit.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
it's so good.
I made mine myself on the stovetop with little impossible, save the animals, peace and love. Welcome everybody to another episode of Retireaholics. My name is JJ Carlson. I'm here with Mark Tommy and Scott Johansson and Smack Justin McNeil. And we're gonna talk a little 401k today. Have some fun. Little new alert just because I found this out like 20 minutes ago. And it blew my mind. Nevin Adams and Fred Reish have their own freaking podcast. You knew this, Mark?
We talked about this. This was a couple of weeks ago that this came out. Yeah.
We talked about this? I must have been really
don't
wasted on
remember
that one. Oh, well, it's new for me. Today's like
Nevin and
Christmas
Fred.
in May for me. I was so
Chad, do you know
excited.
about that?
He's Chad
We
muted.
can't hear you.
Still
It's
muted.
Oh.
fresh
And be polite.
fresh and best perspectives with Nevin and Fred. So I'm really excited about it. You all should check it out. It's out there on Spotify. I'm pretty sure Nevin wrote that little ditty of a title. It's got Nevin written all over it. But right now they're talking about Secure Act and the fiduciary rule, and I just can't wait to listen to it tonight before I go to sleep. We're gonna play Chat Bar Champion today. That's in full effect. So Chris, remember, you will have to vote someone into the semifinal. So pay attention to that chat bar and let us know by the end of the show who you think deserves the title based on their humor, their intelligence, their who knows whatever gets your fancy. Acrosin, that'll start now. If you say any acronym or initialism, you must drink from your penalty drink. I've got my wife's Woodford Reserve here. I might dive into that. I got a little vodka and vitamin C mixture. What's that called, Mark? It's like a
What is the drink
Cronatini or
called?
something like. It was like a
Uh-oh.
Cronatini or something.
I'm not that fancy.
We're gonna skip the little deep dive on the Secure Act specific since we fucked it up so bad last week. I think we just need a little bit of break up. Setting up everyone for whatever. Yeah.
It's a burger.
It's the-
And
Could be.
we'll have a special discussion in the after show about one of Chris's many books. This guy's written, a shit ton of books. We'll talk a bit about that. But Hamburger Dreams. It's kind of like where the hamburger came from or who's responsible for its invention. It's like a hamburger mystery.
Selling the
Why did
first
you
one.
call it, Chris? Why'd you call it Hamburger Dreams instead of Hamburger Mystery? Was that already a Hardy Boys title?
I have to admit, if I would do it over again, I would call it the history of the hamburger, just so it's obvious to what people are getting. But Hamburger Dreams was a term that actually, it was a phrase that I picked up somewhere, and I can't even remember where, that just seemed like a good phrase. And when you talk about what the book is about, it's about the 4 origin stories. They all have these dreams that they were the first ones to invent the hamburger.
I got you.
So
I got you. We'll be digging deep into.
Isn't tomorrow National Hamburger Day?
tomorrow is National Hamburger
Wow.
Day.
Do you have
How
any
do you know
speaking?
that?
Do you have any speaking engagements, Chris?
Do I have any speaking engagements? Well,
It
let's see.
says you do. It says you do on your website.
In just about an hour ago in Chicago, they asked me if I knew when the first egg was put on a hamburger. Tomorrow is all full with appointments, with interviews, as has been this week and really all through Monday. I'm on various places. My favorite one so far was a live video cast similar to this one with Chat Daddy in Chicago. This is a different Chicago one. The one today was WGN, but it's amazing how many questions people ask, how much are the same, and how many are really unique and different.
This is going to be a lot like having Amanda on the show. Chris does a lot of talking. A lot of
Did
talking.
he-
Justin,
we need,
can you?
we need to write a book about beer so that we can travel around and speak about beer and drink beer everywhere.
I had a classmate who actually wrote 3 books on beer drinking games. You would probably like them. So
Already been done, Chad. Justin, can you introduce
original.
our guest to our lovely audience?
Absolutely. We've got a banger of a guest for you today, folks. For the second time in Retireaholics history, to my knowledge, our guest has a Wikipedia page. And it's bigger than Michael Kitz's.
Wow.
No, we're not measuring anything here. Get your filthy minds out of the gutter. Okay.
We're keeping track, though. We're keeping track.
Yep. For all you athletes out there, he's a bit of a rubber band man. He's got a plethora of hobbies. He's been an adjunct lecturer, a scout leader, a church lector. In high school, he played football, was a captain of the chess team, served as a concert master for the orchestra. He's an alum of Yale University, where he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Physics and Astronomy. Trying to understand the connection to our field there, but he was the GM of the Yale Bulldogs men's ice hockey team and also a popular DJ, sports broadcaster for the, damn it,
That's 2 for
college's radio station. Post Yale, he went to earn his BA.
you. 3 for you.
In finance and marketing from the University of Rochester. Fast forward to today's accomplishments. He's a national speaker, entrepreneur, mutual fund portfolio manager. Among many other accolades, he's an award-winning writer, most notably for his work, as we've already discussed it. Thanks for ruining it, JD. Hamburger Dreams. How classic crime-solving techniques help crack the case of America's greatest culinary masterpiece. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, chief contributing editor for fiduciarynews.com and the man who's written more books than Josh Itzo, Mr. Chris Carosa.
Wow.
I think Chris might be the most interesting man on the planet.
For
That's how I
sure.
started to feel or get that Wikipedia page.
I don't
Yes.
think we didn't.
Can I be in
book
a
him
commercial?
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Most interesting man in the planet.
I didn't
Yeah.
have the vocabulary for it, but then Greenfield in the chat bar said he's a Renaissance man, and I hit the nail on the head. Like, holy cow! I'll
Yeah.
back that up too, because I didn't do quite the research that Justin did. But as I prep for the show and I start digging through the internet on Chris Carosa, it's like a fun little mystical Easter egg hunt.
is,
I mean, there is
seriously.
so much weird shit out there. He's been on like this
Did you read
radio
his-
show in this state, and you go listen to it, and I mean, it's just phenomenal. So if you
Yeah.
have a free weekend, I say Google Chris Carosa and just see where it takes you, everybody, because it's
Check
a
out
lot
his
of fun.
Amazon bio. Did you read that, JD?
No,
That's a pretty good one too.
good stuff. There's so much stuff out there. Chris, you're a busy man. I will get into more of that.
Yeah.
But let's skip all the semantics. Let's get straight to some 401k subject matter. You've written a couple articles. I've read them on gamification, and we've touched on that subject on this show in the past, but just surface level. So I'm hoping today maybe we can get a little deeper and maybe put our finger on the pulse of gamification in 401ks, and if it's actually come to fruition and we see some stuff out there or not. But one of the articles you read kind of laid it out there. Let me ask, I'll go straight to Mark, and then I'll let Chris give the intelligent answer. Mark,
Why not start there?
why gamification? Why do we want it? Why are we excited about it? Why do we need it?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, we're just all competitive people at the end of the day, and competition breeds change and action and engagement and any other words that I can use that sound sort of smart. And so that's one, right? Obviously, is that people want to win. They want to be better than the next person. So that helps that, and that gets people going. And the other part is we're we're entering into, baby boomers are retiring and also maybe not surviving anymore. And then the next group of people coming up have grown up on these types of technology. Technology's been in the forefront, been in our face forever. So starting the gamification is going to get people involved at a younger age and gain their interest and maybe keep their interest. So that's my rationale.
Solid, Mark. Chris, as you research for these articles, is Mark on point, and or does the industry look at participation rates, the knowledge of participants, and feel like we need better ways to reach them? I mean, you've done a lot of research. So gamification, what's it here to solve, and is it solving it?
So I think Mark's on point. In fact, Mark, I'm turning everything over to you now. You have fiduciary news. It's all yours. So
Yes.
there you go. You don't even need a free
I
thing.
couldn't
You
even
own it.
afford the premier membership, and now I run the joint. This is
Yes.
great. See
Well,
you guys.
I'll tell. So gamification is everything that people talk about right now because it's cool, it's new, it's where it's at, and it's going to solve all the problems in the world, right? Let me tell you something. Back in my day, gamification is already in the 401k infrastructure. If you remember, well, maybe you don't, but IRAs were around pretty much the same time that 401ks were around, although they were not really marketed the same way. Does that count as an acronym?
Yeah,
It does?
individual retirement account.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
Yeah.
401k. Actually, I was going to ask, point of clarification, is okay an acronym or a word?
Yeah.
It's a word.
It's a word. You're good there.
But Brandon will ring you up for anything. So
But IRAs started off a few years before 401ks. IRAs were, go ahead, you're going to ding
That's
me,
great.
but I got to get the point across.
all right, you can finish your thought.
IRAs were always there, but people
What's
didn't
the
use
record?
them.
We're on pace. We're on
People
pace
did
for it.
not use them. 401ks came around and all of a sudden they hit off out of the park compared to IRAs. More savings. Why?
Chris, let me slow you down here for a second.
You understand the point of the game.
We play a game. If you say acronyms, you have to drink from your penalty drink. You can finish your thought, but you need to try to not say the acronyms. That's part of the game.
Oh,
Gatorade?
You realize I'm a contrarian, so.
Well, we get you in a lot of trouble on this show. Let me ask.
Anyways, 401ks had gamification built in from day one, and it's called matching. So you got bonus
enough.
points for putting money in. So
Right.
gamification really isn't new to 401ks, but gamification or gaming really has evolved because of video games, where you have all these elements that people are aware of, leaderboards, badges, boss fights, all these things can be utilized to encourage people to save more. And I think the most interesting thing I found out when I interviewed somebody who does this and went to school for like neurology or something like that, is storytelling. Think about these games that you play now. They're not just games. They're complete movies. I mean, literally, you've got Hollywood types creating scripts and scenes for these things so they look like movies, and they bring you into the game and you keep going. So if you can do the same thing with a 401k, maybe you can get people to start using them more. That's the theory.
What percentage of people, because I'm an old 50-year-old man now, I don't play games. What percentage of people out there can take a guess? I don't want Chad, because Chad's as old as I am, really. But Justin, what percentage of people do you think play games on their phone or on their Xbox?
What
or
age
whatever?
group?
Oh, dude.
Is it pretty
Okay,
high?
this is going to surprise you. We actually, some friends and I looked this up a little while back. Older women, like late 40s, early 50s, are the largest population of game players. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
My wife's a Candy Crush expert.
Well, so JD, sorry, Justin, if you were going to go further there, I apologize. I feel
no, it's
like
good. I'll pick back up.
there's levels of gamification that I would say I'm not focused just on like the gamers, right? Yeah, the on
Right.
your laptop or on your phone or on PlayStation, what have you. gamification to me boils down to simply competition. I kind of mentioned
Yeah,
earlier,
it
we're all
can be.
competitive people, right? So,
can.
sorry, I was
No,
gonna
you're
say,
right. I think that's good, Mark. It can be in two different areas.
right. There's an element of like a leaderboard, right? Where people, like in golf, you kind of want to be at the top, you want to be Phil Mickelson, but in some other ways, if it's like it's the medium where you're accessing that game, I guess is what I'm getting at. So it's a combination of both. It adds the element of people wanting to win, but also where do you go play this game?
I'll add an element to it, Mark. It could also be like the fitness apps. Like when I'm on my Peloton and I have streaks going, or hey, you've gone, 12 days in a row, or you beat your best record from last week. And I've talked about this on the show before, on my meditation app, I get little badges and awards when I do things. And albeit it's just virtual, I've told Brandon this, there's been times when I've gone to meditate and I didn't have my phone to log into the app, even though I know what to freaking do. And I'm like, oh, I can't meditate right now. I need to get my phone. So I get credit for it on my app. Like it's totally got me in the whole little program. So there's that too. But let's go to your leaderboard thing. Chris, you've done some research. Can you really have a leaderboard for a 401k? Can you sit at the office and look over at Jeff in the corner and go, there's Jeff. He's last on the leaderboard because he's so broke, he doesn't even defer into the 401k. Haha, screw you, Jeff. I mean, how do you have leaderboards in this employer
You can tell everybody that's me. It's fine.
Yeah. So that's really the best way to do it, is to have it a personal one-on-one competition. That seems to be what motivates people the most. But there's this thing called privacy that you have to deal with. And the way that some companies have done it is they put people into groups. So it's like this division has this percentage savings, and that division is that. You know how you do that stuff in groups. It doesn't have to be a whole division. It could be like this office, this floor, whatever it is. And if you put people in groups, you can get over the privacy issue and still make it a little bit competitive.
It's the warehouse versus sales versus, marketing or something.
We call that cross-tested gamification.
Good, Mark.
Okay.
It doesn't always have to be about contribution too, right? You can gamify who's got their beneficiary information loaded in, gamify who's logged in and taken action on the website. There's plenty that you can do to create and incentivize people to be involved in the plan without saying save more.
Well, it's engagement. It's like when you go on the social media platforms, there's this bar that says how much of your profile is completed. LinkedIn is like this, hey, you got 95% of it. You just got one more thing to do, and then you'll get it all. You won't win anything, but what the heck?
They do this at the conferences, right, Mark?
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people tuning in tonight have participated in the conference gamification, where it's like, go to a sponsor's booth and you get this, go do.
When we first were going to this is a couple years back when they started doing this more often, we were all about it, right? But then what happened? The last few we went to were like, that shit is stupid. We're done with it. So I feel like you can't just keep doing the same thing. Now you've got to change that again, to the point of gamification. Games don't stay the same over a long period of time. They come out with new ones,
and that's one of the biggest concerns I feel. Sorry, Chad. Is yes, I think it's a great idea, and it will capture an audience initially because everyone wants that instant gratification, but it's a long-term. I feel like this is kind of gimmicky for. I don't know if it's going to have a long-term effect. And so I don't know if you guys feel similarly or
Chad, don't you feel like I'd be treating you as a child if, as your employer, I said to you, the sales team, hey, I have this new gamification app for the 401k. And if you go and learn about diversification, you'll get a little award or extra points. And then if you go learn about, saving amounts, you'll get some more. And if you bump up your deferrals each year, you'll get some more points. Aren't you going to kind of be like, I'm not fucking 10. You don't need to or am I just being super pessimistic?
I think you're being super pessimistic. And I think the behavioral finance and the studies can show you differently. That people want to be pushed. They want the incentive. They want the pat on the back. They're used to getting a trophy for participating. And so those kind of things lead to action. My question back, JD, to all of us was, if we're going to gamify a specific a specific process in the 401k arena. Call it participation, call it increasing your deferrals, call it getting the full mat, whatever it is. Where do you think we get the most bang for our buck as an industry in spending in technology that will create action? And I'm not saying ROI, I'm saying bridging, bridging the coverage gap, creating better outcomes, however you want to look at it. Where should we be spending time to try to gamify and get people involved?
It has to be impacting money going in, right? That's the biggest factor. So it's got to impact deferral rates, increases.
Is it better to impact people participating, or better to get more people participating, or better to increase the deferral percentage of those that are? Where's the greater impact come if we're going to gamify something and create incentive?
I think
Well,
it's getting people
participation
enrolled
is
in
already being
participating.
addressed with opt-ins.
Auto
You have
features.
about 60%
Fair.
of people already going in. So I think I think this is something that a little bit what JD said. If you imagine it as a story, if you're going through a story and there are certain steps that you got to go through in order to get to retirement or comfortable retirement, you could design a game that's totally personal. So it's not like you're pushing the person or patronizing them in any way. Say, hey, there's a game that you could play. You don't even have to call it a game. You know, there's a template you could follow, and it'll tell you you're 28 years old. This is where you should be by the time you're 30. So if you want to get there, here's the way to do it. And it says you have now choices. You're going to go, are you going to take a right-hand turn and meet the orcs, or a left-hand turn and fight the dragon? Whatever.
That stuff exists minus the gamification side, right? Like there's metrics. You should at age 30, you should have this 1 times your annual earnings. At age 40, you should have 3 times your annual earnings. Like there's metrics to be hit. It's not gamified per se, and it's not a story like you're saying, Chris.
Right.
I wanted a target from you guys. I wanted to hear what you thought would lead to the greatest impact.
Well, I think the story will. So,
how to do it? I was just saying,
I was looking for something.
Yeah, I was saying where your focus had to be, and to answer your question, Chad, is it has to be the deposits. You know, how much money is going in, are people saving enough? But I think that kind of skews us off a little bit. You know who's killing it in this area, or doing a lot, I should say, is all the financial wellness companies. So they're a couple steps ahead of 401k in terms of creating this story that Chris is talking about. And a lot of them have figured it out because they're trying to get participants to understand an emergency savings, understand having a proper budget, understand putting enough money into the 401k. And so they can kind of lead them through this path of doing several of these things and checking them off and getting their awards for them. So wellness is somewhere to look. But let me ask you guys, you're on the front line. Is Voya doing this? Is Principal doing this? Is Nationwide doing this? Have you seen gamification at record keepers? Not in Chad's old school way he was just talking about,
That's
but
what I was just going to say.
new fun stuff that's working. Because I'm not close enough to it, but I mean,
I'm not seeing badges and awards like what we would quantify as gamification, but you see target goals to hit, you see replacement ratios. Is your dollar full at Voya? Like there are ways in which they're trying to create action by setting goals for you and seeing if you can achieve them.
Well, I think most of the people who are doing it with numbers. So it's like the typical retirement readiness calculator.
There you go.
That just throws numbers at you, and it's hard for people to get their arms around the numbers. And that's why I say, forget the numbers. Make it a story. Make it something where the numbers are incidental. You know, I could give you an example of how something like this works, and this goes to behavioral finance. Most people will say, I need $1 million to retire. So that's a huge number, 7 digits, huge number. Nobody will, in their right mind, is going to think that that's doable, especially when they're young. But we know when they're young, it's really easy. If they just put a little bit, they don't need to make a lot. They don't need to earn a lot off that every year. So instead of saying you need to have $1 million at the end, we say, okay, if you're saving, you know, $1,000 or $2 or whatever, you're saving whatever you're saving. Here's what you need to get in a return to get that $1 million. You need a 3 or 4% return. Most people will understand 3 or 4% a year is totally doable. They won't know, they won't think the $1 million is doable, even though it translates to 3 or 4%. So a lot of it has to do with framing, how you frame this thing. And that's part of gamification, but it's also part of just framing. Behavioral finance.
We can wrap this subject. We've got a lot to talk about, but I I really do think keep your brain on stuff like the Peloton app and my Headspace app, and because it dominates my life, and I wouldn't even call myself a gamer. People getting their 10,000 steps in or whatever that is. And instead of like what Chad's saying, you don't want to show up to your website and see a retirement readiness score of 38. It doesn't mean anything to you. And so we do need to go towards what Chris is talking about. You need to log in or get a notification on your phone that's saying like, hey, you're still 80% incomplete in your 401k profile, and it kind of drags you down this fun path of getting things done. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep checking in on it. Yes, Greg, the Peloton app is great, and your chat bar game is great today. Before we talk about the next subject, let's spin the old and unimproved,
Improved.
but very full of integrity, Chad, wheel of ice.
I know how to push JD's buttons.
I don't want it to be me this time.
Old school indeed.
Right in the
Solid.
middle. I didn't know who it was going to be.
Come on, double whammy, double whammy.
Hit him.
No, damn it.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had one?
It's been a
The
while.
all.
Who cares?
It's been a while. Let's see. JD, go to your notes.
I have another question.
Shoot.
Is JD considered an acronym?
No, you clearly
Nope.
never tune into
Clearly
our show.
don't
Thanks,
watch the show.
Chris. JD's a free pass. This is a good one. You've written a book on it. How many books have you written? Like 5, 6, 5?
If you don't count ebooks, 8.
8 books.
I have
What if you do count
many
ebooks?
leather-bound books.
10,
And
11 in
My
July.
apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Oh God, I love Brandon. That threw me off. That was phenomenal. The book titled From Cradle to Retirement, The Child IRA. Yep, that'll ring me up for one.
Oh, wait, can I do 2? IRA. I was thirsty.
Wow.
Oh man.
This is interesting. And I'll get my drink, audience. Hang on there. You made a statement and there's a lot of marketing out there. And by the way, there's even a website, childira.com, which is Chris's. But you made this. Oh, yep. You made this the statement of if you could give $1,000 to a newborn baby and give them $1,000 each year into a child IRA until they were 19, I think it was. You would what's that, 3 or 4? That child would have $2.2 million at retirement or at age 70. You'll have to tell me what the rate of return you use to do
8.
that. 8%.
8%. You're a bad investor.
What a cool, great story. I love the idea of, we've talked about getting kids involved in finance on this show a few times. I'm hugely passionate about this concept. I think we need to do more of it. The idea of getting money into a kid's account and letting the power of compounding work is just so great. But can you really do that? I don't know. I don't know individual retirement accounts, check swing from anything, but I did a little Googling, some research. Is it still true that you've got to have this earned income? And is that a problem to give it to the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old, or is that just a fantasy idea that you had, Chris?
No, that's actually a doable idea. And I talk about it in the book, how a newborn baby can earn income. And it depends on the state. What do newborn babies do? They act in diaper commercials. Do they do that for free? No, they get paid. So a newborn baby can be an actor.
You have to
or
be
a model
you
or
have to be a
something.
pretty baby.
Yeah, no, all of them
So
are.
I talk about that. It's interesting. I was doing research in that, and it turns out that not everybody hits the pretty baby at the same age. So you're pretty up until age 5, and then bam, your career's over. Or you're not pretty until you're age 5, and that's when you start. But you don't really have to be pretty. There's different ways to do it. But that's pretty much the only kind of way for a very, very young child to be able to earn income. But once you get, 1st or 2nd grade, you can start putting that lemonade stand up or doing things, stamping or putting stamps on your parents' business. There's ways to make money.
So maybe not so much.
Isn't that child labor? And isn't in some ways that's not okay?
No, it's not okay unless it's your parents, apparently. So there's a whole chapter of the book on child labor laws because it's very relevant and it's always also state dependent. Depends on what state you live in.
Mark,
Yeah,
your
Chad, the flyover states, they're okay with it.
your kids are now going to be on the Plan Design website, and we'll take some pictures of them so they have earned income,
Whoa,
which we'll
buddy.
just pull from your
models, huh?
paycheck and put it into there.
Oh,
And then you got a
right.
child
What
That's
IRA.
paycheck
exactly
do
how you
I
do
get,
it.
Chad?
Yeah.
I,
No,
I have to have earned income for them to have earned income. This
Actually,
is not
that's-
making sense.
Actually, that's not so far off, Chad. But so if they're 0 to, I don't know what the age is. My kids are all older now, but 5 or something, maybe not a lot of options unless they're modeling or doing Chad's little workaround. But once they're 5, 6, and maybe I'm shooting too young here, but they can definitely start their own little business of pulling weeds at the neighbors' houses or selling their scribble art to people or God knows what, and try to generate some income. And that's a great lesson in itself. Is that realistic? I'm trying to throw that out there. Like
that's realistic. I've interviewed these parents who have kids like this, and I've interviewed kids who actually started off doing that. And everything you say is true. It's not just saving for retirement that helps. It's the entire financial literacy aspect of it, the entire entrepreneurial education that they get from starting their own businesses. That's all packed in there. But I'll tell you, the bottom line is this: so few people do it, that this whole child IRA, that's the name of it. So,
well, you can say individual retirement account,
but
Chris.
it's not called that. It's
He
called
is
child
abusing
Oh,
this
IRA.
you're
game.
just being a stickler now. Come on,
Yes, JD, that's what it's called. So,
Mark. How
anyways, if you're a teen, it's a lot easier. And so that's why I wrote the second book, which is designed just for teenagers on how to do it, because it's more likely, by the time you turn to 13, you can start working, you can start earning money.
Chris, man, that you couldn't just make a 2-chapter book. You had to write 2 different books. I mean, come on, man.
But I
Jeez.
like that. But let's talk more evil plan. Like, okay, let's say that Junior at age 7 isn't going to go out and mow everyone's lawns in the neighborhood and make a couple grand a year. But I'm going to be really evil now. It's like no one's watching this, right? But we could pretend that he's doing stuff, I mean,
JD will go mow the lawn for Junior. And
or
then
maybe he does it once in a
gather
while.
pay.
And then you're just kind of, it's not like these kids are getting W2s or 1099s or anything. Like people are just keeping their own loose records, right? Or books on it. So why couldn't you fudge the system a little bit and go, yeah, Junior does have a freaking, he does crayon drawings and the neighbors buy them for hundreds of dollars. He makes $5,000 a year and put it in and start. I mean, who's going to catch you?
Well, when I talk to accountants about these type of jobs, the legitimate jobs now, but it's the same question you're asking, everything is predicated on keeping good records. So you have to keep good records, because if you ever do get audited, you have to prove that the child worked there. And the only way to prove it is through the records.
Yeah. So, and then tell me this. I'm kind of setting you up for something I learned today. We'll see if it works.
Uh-oh.
NFTs, Brandon.
Oh,
Smart. Brandon.
that counts.
Oh,
JD.
God damn it. What if Maya goes and mows a bunch of lawns and makes $1,000? Don't you think she wants to use that $1,000 to buy whatever Maya wants to buy? How's she going to react when you tell her that you're putting it into an individual retirement account and she'll see it in 62 years?
So here's what a lot of parents do.
Here's
What a lot of parents do. They let the kids spend some or all the money, and then the parents put their money into it. It does not matter where the money comes from. As long as it's earned, you can put that money in there.
Well, that's actually a good sort of, I don't want to go segue because we're going to stay on this topic, but it's a good tandem piece to an article, Chris, that came out in April on your website about parents teaching, or the parents teaching their kids about budgeting and doing that. right? That article that you wrote, and it was that same notion of, do you let them spend a little, save a little, give a little, that kind of teaching of doing that, which I found to be very interesting. But I think most kids presented that sum of money, they don't know the value of that. $1,000 feels like
They have no idea.
Donald Duck swimming in, the money or whatever the duck's
Yeah.
name was, the greedy guy. But so
Scrooge
that,
Duck
so I think it also adds the element of the teaching component of value and saving and using that as a learning opportunity.
You mentioned about the kid buying stuff from what they're earning. Think about what we just talked about, gamification.
Yeah.
If having a job is a game, the prize is whatever you can afford to buy as a result of having that job. So that's a motivator to get the kid to work and maybe continue working and maybe make more money.
And the crazy part is that kids play video games for other kids to watch, and they make money to do it.
Lots of money doing that.
This is nuts, man.
No, but what I love about it, which is the obvious thing, which we've talked about my son's E-Trade account in the past. Like, I'm so excited that he's 17 now, he just had his birthday, but that my 17-year-old son has money in a brokerage account and is learning about investing, because when I was his age, I was so far from that. And so to think about a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old starting to build some wealth, and we all know in this industry how much the power of compounding is going to mean when you start at 6 instead of starting at 26. Just amazing things can happen, and to me it just sounds exciting.
Webby.
See, we talked about this a little bit in the past, and I'll
cool.
comment on one note in the chat bar, and then I'll make the statement. Yeah, I think it was Brad that mentioned, and a few others. I match when the kids get birthday money. In other words, the kids get birthday money, I let them spend it, but I take what they actually got and I put it in their bank account to invest for them. So they continue to get to spend it, but I look at it like, if someone gave you money, let's leverage that money, let's put it into the account. That's my way of matching for the kids, even though it's not going into an individual return account. But we chatted about this
teaching
before.
them nothing, Chad. That's absolutely
This was my next point,
backwards.
Mark. Before we had this conversation, someone in the chat bar had mentioned some kids' books. And I went on that night in drunken stupor after one of our episodes, and I ordered like Finance 101 for kids. And Shay, my daughter, has started reading it. And I gamified it. I told her as she finishes it, she's going to pick a company she wants to invest in, which immediately was American Girl dolls. And that I would match what she wants to put in out of her bank account, and that she would start investing in that. So she started reading the book.
I can't believe she didn't say Bitcoin.
Well, it's so cool, because that's just going to lead to, at a certain point when she's in her teens, it's like, well, how do we invest this? And, what does it mean to be diversified, or like my son, not diversified? And I just think that I'm just such a fan of that stuff. So anyways, I'd love to see the advisor community continue to push employers and the participants of those employers to see like, hey, can we get in front of the kids? What can we do to help the kids? Because it would be great is if they all got this 2.2 million, or let's say even they just hit their 30s and they've got like $1 million, they can all like take up cocaine as a habit and drive like fast cars. Just kidding. All right, let's mix up and play a little game. We're going to go back to a new one, and one of my favorites. One of these things is not like the other. Play this beautiful,
song out of my
beautiful
head.
song if you can.
One of these things is not like the others. One of these things doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other by the time I finish this song?
Okay, Chris, you do not have a time limit. You can take your time. There's 4 images up there, and all you need to do is tell us which one of them does not belong with the others, and then tell us why. What is your theory behind why it does not belong?
Well, I would say that, what is that, vegan-y? It's kind of
It's,
AF.
it's
The- the
vegan
re-
it's vegan AF, and I'll drink for that because that's vegan as
shit.
fuck.
Okay, and that one doesn't belong because that's the only person not wearing a tie.
Good
Wow.
observation.
Yeah. Holy shit, Chris. You're blowing my mind.
Three hamburger lovers and a vegan. All right, 2 hamburger lovers. Those are 3. Justin, who's the guy
Yep.
in the striped pajamas? Did you know?
Hamburger?
Yeah.
Hamburglar.
Yeah.
What does he say? Does he say like, I'll gladly pay you?
Yeah.
Or is that
No,
something?
that's the other dude.
Popeye on that,
That's
right?
Wimpy.
That's Wimpy.
Okay. I
Wimpy
don't
first said
fucking know.
those words in 1933.
With a hamburger, juicy
All right.
day for a hamburger today.
Brandon. That's what
So I hope
Brandon
this doesn't lead where I think it might lead
that's
to.
what, that's what Brandon gets paid for, is to find wimpy cartoons on. All right, let's go to
In
the
an
next
instant.
one. They get progressively harder.
Uh-oh.
That was a setup. That was easy.
Oh, that had 5.
We got to get rid of wimpy somehow. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Oh, I have no idea. what
I
this
know
is.
it.
The aliens.
Hey,
I know it.
audience, don't forget, audience, you can guess too. You can guess too. Do you know who most of those individuals are, Chris?
I know all but one.
Oh, which one don't you know?
I think the one in the middle.
That's Mike DeCenso.
Okay.
He works for shit. What company is that he works for?
So he's obviously the one that doesn't belong because I
Newport.
don't know him.
No,
So.
Newport Group. Newport
Okay.
Group. Right? Yeah, thank you, Danielle. Moises.
All right, who is it? Who doesn't belong?
Anyone in the audience get it?
Nope. I was the only one that threw something in the
Yeah,
chat.
Brad
got it.
Brad's solid. Brad's solid.
Really?
All right. You can
The
just
alien- Why does an alien like PEP?
Pete
I don't get that.
Swisher, Michael DeCencio, Terrence Powers, and Aliens all love Peps. JD, not so much. Chris, you don't know?
I got
Aliens
it, Chad. I
are-
hit it, but it doesn't override this.
But
Is
JD
this,
still
is
needs
this
to
one of
drink, that
those,
is.
I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens sort of thing?
Aliens are behind Peps. They are
Where's
literally.
where's
You
your
see all those
tinfoil
guys
hat?
there? Terrence Powers, Mike, and Pete. They are brainwashed by the aliens. It's the aliens that brought Peps to our planet. But we can move on to the next one.
Okay.
That's
What are you doing,
4
huh?
You got
for
4,
JD.
JD.
We
Wow.
can't. It doesn't
says one.
override this background. So you hear the noises, but you don't see it. Yeah, you've
Mm.
rung up 4 of them,
Okay.
JD.
Okay. Damn. All right. We've got
Good thing
one
you're
more.
recording from home tonight.
This is a tough one? Question mark?
Oh, I think I know it. Shame on you guys, JD.
Oh no.
I just want to, before you guess, I just want to give my sincere apologies to Jimmy Carter. I was Googling an image of these presidents and that one came up and I just couldn't stop laughing at Jimmy Carter. I'm like, I've got to use it. Got to use it. Sorry, Jimmy.
I don't know. I would say Kennedy because he's the only one without gray hair.
I'm glad these are getting harder. Last time we did this, they got them all. Anyone out there? Don't show it yet.
There's one that's right in the chat bar, but I don't
What
think
did they
that's what
say?
you used.
What do you think it is?
You gotta
Chad?
go back up.
The Carter because he's
Were you
not
talking
wearing a tie.
about Jason Grant's?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, there's 2 that I'm thinking of.
Kennedy,
But-
because the rest are alive, but I don't think that's where you and Brandon went.
No.
The
Justin, you have a
The
guess?
rest were not faithful to
Yes,
their
that's exactly where I was
spouses.
going.
Only one's a Republican, says Greg. Guts could have been good too. Those all work. I was going with a different one. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yep.
Jimmy
I
Carter
knew
was
it.
faithful to his wife. The others, not so
All
much.
right, all right.
Woo.
That works.
By the way, Google faithful presidents. It's fun. It opens your eyes up to a lot of stuff. Well, that's good. I actually, Chris, I'm sorry that you didn't get 2 of them, but I kind of like the game better when you don't get it. It's a little more fun.
Oh, okay.
See what everyone else feels. You know, Chris, Chris, one, doesn't get my humor, and he doesn't understand my things like aliens, and he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, okay,
Okay.
Well,
whatever, buddy."
I mean, you didn't get my humor either, so what the heck?
I love your humor. Let's go to, hopefully the boys did what I asked them to do. I sent an email to the guys on Monday,
Couldn't.
To
And I
buy a
said-
hamburger. I did that.
and I said, "Hey, can you go to fiduciarynews.com and just find an article that you like
I didn't get
and
the
you'd
email
like
by
to
a
talk
hamburger.
about?" Not you, Chris. You're the guest.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go with Mark, since he nodded his head like he actually got the email.
Well, I
Chad's
got
going
it.
to
Okay.
fiduciarynews.com
can I-
right now.
Can I be honest? I got the email. I read most of it. I saw that you attached some articles. I didn't read them immediately. And then Justin goes, yesterday. Yeah, did you do what JD asked us to do? I was like, what did he asked us to do something? And he's like, yeah, you're supposed to have an article picked out. And I'm like, okay, I didn't read that email good enough. But anyways, Chris, I went onto your website today, which again, I already had a subscription to, didn't know my password, so I changed it. Then I realized, oh, now I've got an article that JD sent me that I've got to read. And now you're asking me to sign up for a membership. And I was like, whoa, man, this is getting intense. So as of today, I'm a formal basic member of your website. So
Basic.
I look forward to all the features and benefits that come with that. I hope you'll send me a free coupon code for Premiere soon. Just, because we're best
You'll be
friends.
invited each week to participate in the Fiduciary Roundtable Wednesday at noon.
Perfect. Plug your stuff. But yes, JD, I scoured the website and I quickly gathered that if you want to talk about pooled employer plans and multiple employer plans, there's plenty of stuff you could read on there. But I know that we've kind of gone over that ad nauseum on the show. And so something that I latched onto, and by the way, I've already mentioned it, so my homework was already checked off early in the episode, but the specific article is titled, and I'll just read it word for word so I don't get it wrong. 401k education, teaching parents to teach their children. And that is where that's a short title. That's what got my attention. And that was, again, more about the idea of getting kids involved with the finance piece of learning how to manage their money and some tips and tools. And again, as a parent of, I know all the audience members already know, but Chris doesn't, but a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old who I think obviously I'm learning quickly, because I've always been from a very early age, the way kind of my parents were with me, were like, you need to earn, you need to go out. So I would do those things. I would go across the street and knock on my neighbor's door. Now, again, our neighborhood was very close, and I would say, can I do anything for you? And they were, some of them were retired, and they'd be like, yeah, pull my weeds. Or my dad's buddy would be like, yeah, just go move that pile of dirt from there to there, which has really helped my career to this point. And so I earned money early on. I did, kind of the paper route thing. I tried all those different things, and I want to instill that in my kids, but I'm having a hard time deciding how and what tips to use when they do get money and birthday money, because they are like most kids, where they just want to buy stupid shit that they use for a day and then don't use anymore. And it drives me nuts. So again, that article to me was helpful.
Want to know why I wrote it?
For me, because I asked you to.
I wrote it exactly for you. Actually, I wrote it. Well, let's see, your kids are probably too young, but if you were a Boy Scout leader, you might have an idea of why I wrote it. And that is, in order to learn something, you have to teach it.
Yeah.
So everybody was writing about financial literacy and how we had to do it. And they were aiming it at adults. And how many adults are going to say, oh yeah, I'll take a class on numbers because numbers. Yeah, I'll do it. Well, if you tell a parent, look, can you teach your kid something that'll make your kid better? Every parent will say yes. And that one of the things you can talk about is about money. Do you want your kid to be comfortable when they retire? Yeah, it'll make me sleep better as a parent, knowing that so okay, teach your kid that. Well, if you're going to teach your kid, it means you're going to have to learn it. So it's a way to get, both at the young kid level, financial literacy, but it also works at the adult level too for the parent.
Daniela, nobody wants their kid to be worse. And that's why I agree with you there, Chris. I feel like, I think a lot of people would pass on financial literacy, or, even wanting to talk to them about wellness and their 401k. But if you use their kid as the Trojan horse, everybody wants their kid to have it better than they had it. And so there's something there. There's something there. Let me give a little plug to fiduciarynews.com before I scoot over to Justin and his article of choice. Fiduciarynews.com, and I'm not just saying this because Chris is on the show. I actually said this on Retireaholics like 5 years ago, in terms of as one of my go-to websites for information. I'm going to ask him in the after show how much time he spends on this sucker, but it is a no BS bullshit website. Check screen.
You got both of them.
Is just filled with much in the Chad Johansson way of design. Like, it's jam packed, but in a good way, with tons of articles and information, and they're categorized and structured. And so if you're going to
if you're a premier member, apparently, if you're not, it's a little different.
If you're going to Napa Net, if you're going to 401k Specialist Mag, you should be going to, damn it. Oh my God. You should be going to fiduciarynews.com. So Chris, I'm kissing your ass right now, but I mean this when I say this to everyone tuning in. It's a great place to dig into some 401k stuff. So Justin, tell me how much you enjoyed it and what you were able to dig up.
Well, kind of struggled with the same thing that Mark did. It was one of those, did we talk about PEPs today, or did we talk about PEPs today? Shit. So definitely nothing really to add to that beyond what Mark is saying right here. Yeah.
Are you suggesting that fiduciarynews.com is overwhelmed with MEPs and PEPs articles?
I am saying that.
This is so good.
I wrote those for JD because I knew he liked him so much. He wants to be one with the aliens, and this is the bridge, communication bridge.
I'm going to send you a little video later. Maybe we'll watch it in the after show, and it'll clear up the alien things for you. I don't think it's all about pooled employer plans and multiple employer plans. He's got all kinds of different categories and areas there.
Well, it's a recency thing. I've written a lot about those recently because the law became effective this January. And I'll tell you, those were one of the most read articles on the site, all those articles.
Of course
last summer, we had a conference on it, a virtual conference, very, very popular. So there's an audience for those.
Because it's a buzzword.
Have you noticed though, Chris, that we'll get to that later. Have you noticed that most of the people writing about it, talking about it, and praising it are the people that are selling it?
Yep.
Isn't that true for almost everything?
I don't think that's true in 401k, like legislation, regulation. No, I don't think that's true at all. I think people get behind the things they think are right and I think work well. I think PEPs is a joke, and I don't. Son of a bitch. Chad,
I'll say that if you've gone back a few years when I was interviewing Phyllis Borsey about this subject, you'll see some of the negative comments, not because she was necessarily negative about, at that point they were called 401k MEPs. So, there were issues, and there continue to be issues with them as we brought thank you. I was waiting, I'm thirsty. As we brought up the subject in the various settings that we had, there remain issues. And the biggest issue that I see is the potential for return of bundling. If you remember 10 years ago, bundling was, maybe 15 years ago, bundling is what everybody did in the 401k world. And one of the first things that Fiduciary News did when it came out was that it kind of tried to expose what the issues were with the conflicts of interest, the higher fees, that sort of thing. Well, we might come back to that area if we're not careful.
That is a concern.
We could come back to there.
Jason talks about it in the chat bar. You say bundling, he says conflicts of interest, same. It's like, and that is definitely going that way. And there's some that aren't.
Well, and that was my statement early on in these conversations, JD, is my fear was the large record keepers that are going to roll out their own pooled employer plan would come out and try to push proprietary inside that program. The thought would be, hey, we've got 20,000 plans under $2 million in assets. Let's put them all on this pooled employer chassis and let's get more proprietary suites in there so that we can create greater revenue from the same amount of clients. I mean, that's common business practice, right? Generate revenue from the existing clients that you have. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
been
is
a
a
while.
conflict of interest, in my opinion.
It's been a while since I've jumped up on the pep soapbox, but what I've said in the past is that, fun son of a bitch. Okay. I'm going to take some massive swings. here in
Hey,
a second.
so
Wait,
I didn't, sorry, go ahead. If you have a statement to make, I was going to give a comment on the website.
I was just gonna say that
when
I-
JD said that, I just thought of Brooks Koepka.
I just felt like that was great.
That was
just-
so good.
That was so good. Let's talk about that in the after show. I just felt like we were heading, Chris, in such a great direction as an industry. Like we were starting to get to institutional share class of funds, and revenue share was being exposed and kind of tampered down. And, you know, we were looking at independent record keepers with no proprietary requirements and fee disclosure regs, and just heading down this beautiful path. And I feel like what you just said is very true, is the pooled employer plans take us backwards to these bundled kind of conflicts of interest. And I'm a fan of capitalism. And I understand what Chad's point of, hey, trying to make as much money per client as you can. But unfortunately, that's how a lot of the industry sees these pooled employer plans, is like, this is a shiny new mousetrap that now we have control over, and we can package it in such a way that we can generate some revenue from this thing. And it's just a bummer. It's not where we need to be heading. And so every time I see an article and an interview and a blah, 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 and I'm just like, can we look for the better good of the industry instead of what you want to fucking sell for the next 12 months because it's cool? But shame on me. Chad, you did have an article, or do you want me to just go to CBC?
No, I'll make a mention real quick because I kind of commented to it earlier. And honestly, I watched a movie late last night that tied to this, which is the movie. It was the end of the world. A meteor was coming and everybody was going to die. And essentially our governments were trying to allow our civilization to continue on. And so they said, anybody who's sick,
movie, bro.
I don't remember it, Mark. Anybody who is sick, anybody who, you know, had illness, who was
Greenland.
Greenland. Yep. They wouldn't let them continue on. And so one of the articles was, is it better to increase participation, meaning the coverage gap, or get those who are already participating to save more? And in my mind, I kind of tied those two together, saying, well, people who aren't participating, they're not going to stick with it. It's going to be hard to get those folks involved. So the people who are participating, let's increase the savings percentage. Holy fuck, Mark. No, it wasn't. If it allowed me to make the point, then maybe they would tie together.
It doesn't tie together at all, but
Love it when Chad cusses.
Well, let me tell you something that surprised me when I interviewed people a while ago. They don't need to save for the retirement. Some people don't need to save for the retirement. And I couldn't believe that. And this is actually the consensus. Most people say, oh, you've got to save for retirement. Well, I talked to a guy once who's had like $10,000 was all he was going to get from Social Security. And he felt that he could live on that. And I did not believe him until he showed me how he had it all planned out. And he wasn't doing this just like, oh yeah, I could, oh yeah, sure, no problem, I'll do it. He had it all planned out. He had all, and he showed me where he's going to live, how he was going to live, and it worked.
A van by the river.
Well, I won't say that, but I mean, it's not how everyone else would choose to live, but he was going in there eyes wide open. And I think that there's a lot of people who are not necessarily that extreme, but they can probably get by and retire comfortably in a way that most of us would not believe.
Fair enough. I see I don't want to give a bad rap to surfers, but there's a lot of dudes in the parking lot that I come in that I'm pretty sure are living in their car. All right, let's
get happier
to...
than the vast majority of the human population.
Right. They probably are. Let's go to Chap Our Champion. It's been some good stuff tonight. I know I'm going to vote first because you guys keep stealing my votes every week. I'm going for the champ, the GOAT, the guy who should be winning this stuff a lot, but he gets pushed aside because, you know, he's won so much. Greg Greenfield, you get my vote, buddy. You were bringing it tonight. A+, Greg Greenfield. Justin, your vote.
Hackler.
Whoa, there's a theme going on
There
here.
is.
Bringing
Those
it
were my
back to
top two.
the OGs, Mr. Mark Palmini, aka Robe Guy.
Well, I know in the past we've kind of doubled up on the same person, and I was immediately going double G, but I want to gamify this chat bar champion competition, and I think Webby had a solid night, so I'm giving it to Webby.
Good.
All right, what Mike Webb, Chadwick.
I'm going Jason. Night was good, but primarily for the
Solid.
Chris weird shit Caruso comment, which I love.
Carosa, not
Carosa.
And
You don't
Chris,
want to hear me sing. So
you get the final vote into the semifinals. Anyone you'd like to see there?
I like Daniela's comment about Justin has the deer in the headlights look. I thought that was very
I
good.
didn't see that
I didn't
one.
see it.
I
I'm
didn't.
assuming it was the article part.
Yeah.
Yes,
Daniela-
and it was so true. So
Daniela also did the definition of fear of little softballs. What are the things you're scared of?
Oh, cotton balls.
Cotton
Cotton
balls.
balls.
Cotton balls.
Mhm.
She threw that in there.
That was
She
good,
did?
too.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
see
solid.
that. I didn't see
Oh,
that.
I was gonna say, but she can only be in if Chris can pronounce her last name. Okay.
I don't even see her last name now. It's off the thing. Hold on, let me go there.
It's all right. I'll teach you how to pronounce it in the after show.
Moiseyev.
Yeah, that's a nice. You need to do a little more accent.
Yeah.
Katie, the way you move your mouth during that is terrifying.
No way. Oh, this is a tight race. This is a tight race. Okay, the votes are coming in. People vote, people vote. Oh, wow.
This is like an all-star
This
game to
yep,
see who can
yep.
This is
come out
tight.
on
I
top.
can't see what percentage we're at, but thinking
I
pretty
must
high.
admit,
All right,
Jason,
she
while I
got it.
nominated you, I voted for
She
Gigi.
got it. She got it. Let's share those results.
Daniela pulled it out.
Wow.
Way to go, Daniela. You're a she a 2-time or a 3-time?
Shit, that could be 4
think
times. I don't
she's-
know.
No, I think that's
Four.
Oh,
She
she
said
said
four.
four.
Damn.
Oh, geez.
Daniela,
You got a lot of
I'm
sweatshirts.
hammered on half of these shows. I
Hey,
can't be expected.
Brandon, not to add more work to your massive workload for these damn shows, but behind us, we need to have rafters with like
Oh.
championship, like jerseys.
Mhm.
Daniela's got to be up there, like Hall of Fame worthy. Just drop the mic.
Brandon is looking to change the background. I've been telling him, no, I want to keep it for a little while, but we've done it for a bit. So we probably are going to be shifting to something in typical Retireaholics fashion. We'll be moving on to a new background. Oh, Bryant's like, don't remove my poster. Bryant's back there in the back left. There's Daniela's Chat Bar Champion winner certificates already been created and emailed to her. That's how fucking quick we are around here. So, bam. Brandon and I have found a new band that we've fallen in love with. They're
Oh,
bringing
boy.
back core punk rock. I think Brandon was able to. Brandon's been having an issue with YouTube. They don't like it when we pull down their videos, but I think he somehow cyber hacked them and figured it out. So let's play a song to close us out from the Lindas. I'm really making it bad if he can't do it. And we got some fun stuff to talk about in the after show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. Chris, thank you for being our guest. You are a true 401k pro, and the industry thanks you for all the effort that you put into everything that you do. And we were stoked to have you here today. And so thanks for being a part of it. We appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Chris.
it. Play that music if you can, Brandon, or